What's up, softball players? I'm Coach Dan Blewett. If you're new to my channel, I do lots of videos on softball throwing, on strength training, on mindset, arm care, and today's video is going to be about pitching, and specifically we're going to cover the 1-1 count. So over time, I'm going to drip out a video on all the different counts because it's really important to understand what your strategy should be, and I don't think this is something that's talked enough about, and I'm going to give you some of the lessons from baseball, and I think a lot of it's going to bleed over into softball really, really well. So let's jump into it. So the first thing I want you to understand is, so when I teach players about the counts and about their strategy, and this is pitchers and catchers, the big goal is to understand why are we setting up on a specific zone on the plate, and how does that affect the rest of the bat and the potential to throw strikes and get ahead in the count. So the big thing with the 1-1 count, and if you're unfamiliar with all this stuff in general, I have a video that I'll link to in the description about middle halves, thirds, and corners. But basically, the reason that we choose to throw down the middle, and this is really counterintuitive for young players, because if you tell a player, yeah, we want you to throw down the middle when it's a 2-0 count, they're like, why would I ever want to throw down the middle? Because that's where hitters love to get a pitch, right? If I'm hitting and you throw down the middle, that's a gift to me, right? But obviously, what young players need to be, this needs to be impressed upon them, is that throwing down the middle, we put the mitt down the middle not to have that be the end location, but that's where, with margin for error, we're going to have the best chance of catching up and throwing a strike. Just like if you're kicking a soccer goal into an empty net, you beat the goalie came out too far, and you've got an empty net in front of you, no sane human being would aim towards the corners, right? You would aim directly in the middle of the soccer goal, this empty net, because now if you don't kick it perfectly straight, you still have room for error. You can kick it 10 feet to the right, still goes in the goal. You can kick it 10 feet to the left, still goes in the goal. But if you aim for the corners, now if you kick it a little bit to the right, maybe just only 2 feet, you miss entirely, right? And you don't score. So this is the same thing, obviously, with breaking up the plate, that you're going to use a target that's more over the way of the plate when you need to catch up and you desperately need a strike, and you're going to go expand the zone and use less of the plate when you have more of an advantage of yourself. So with the 1-1 count specifically, this is, in my mind, a halves situation. So this is if you split the plate up and you put the catcher's mitt splitting the inside half or the outside half. And of course, that's going to depend on the situation, the hitter, and all that stuff. But in general, 1-1 count is a pivotal count, and this is why. When you're 1-1, you're going in one of two directions. It's a big fork in the road, and that is either 2-1, which is going to lead you down, okay, now we're behind the count, the hitter's got a major advantage, I don't want to get to 3-1, so I probably need to throw something that's my most reliable pitch for a strike, which the hitter is going to have a much better idea that that pitch is coming, right? In baseball, that's a fastball. In softball, it's going to vary a lot more because players throw a lot more different pitches and they don't rely on their fastballs as much. Whereas if you get to 1-2, you get that strike on 1-1. Now you're in the driver's seat, right? You can throw your best pitch and have a break out of the zone. You can throw your rise ball that rises out of the zone. You can throw stuff on the periphery of the strike zone, on the edges, and miss off the plate. Umpire might ring them up, and they might swing at it because obviously they've got to protect when they've got 2 strikes, right? So 1-1 is one of the most pivotal counts. And the other thing about 1-1 counts is you've already thrown 2 pitches. This will be the third one, and we really want to end the at-bat right away if we can. So obviously, especially with softball pitchers being able to pitch hundreds and hundreds of innings, having thrifty innings is really important. Keeping your pitch count down is really important. So on that 1-1 count, you don't want to have this mindset of, I'm going to pitch to the corners, because they might take that pitch on the corner. If you make a great pitch on the corner or on the third, what you want on a 1-1 count is for them to put it in play. When you have, when the bat is underway, the best result is getting weak contact. Because now the bat's over, you have a very high probability of getting an out when they make weak contact, and now you're on to the next hitter, and you've only thrown hopefully 3 pitches. So if you can get an out on your 1-1 pitch, that's probably the absolute best outcome you could get. It's better than a swing and miss. It's better than getting to 1-2. In baseball, the term for that is called 3-pitch efficiency. 3-pitch efficiency is after 3 pitches, are you either 1-2 or is the at-bat over? It doesn't matter what the outcome would be. It could be a bad outcome, but is the at-bat over? Because if you always have a lot of 3-pitch efficiency, 3 pitches times 20 hitters, which is about 5 innings worth typically, There's only 60 pitches. So you're going to go pretty deep into the game if you have high 3-pitch efficiency. So on a 1-1 count, the strategies that you're teaching your players, or if you're a catcher listening to this or you're a pitcher listening to this, should be, we want to cut the plate into halves and we want to set up on one half or the other. And the reason we want to set up on the half or the other is because it gives us more margin for error than setting up on the third or the corner. So it gives us a much higher likelihood of throwing a strike and getting to 1-2, and a higher likelihood of getting that weak contact and getting the ball in play, while not being right down the middle. Because we don't really want to throw the ball right down the middle or even aim down the middle when we're 1-1, because we've already done some work. They've got one strike. They're not as aggressive. It's not like it's a 2-0 count, right? So 1-1, it's not the situation to be on the corners, because again, you can easily miss just by a couple inches, and now you're 2-1. So going to the halves gives us that happy medium of, I've got a good amount of margin for error to get ahead, but also if I miss a little bit, it's a very high quality strike, because if I'm on the half and I miss to the third, that's a really high quality pitch. And it still gives us a chance to get weak contact and the at bat and have a high pitch efficiency for the overall game. All right. So hopefully this was helpful. Obviously, pitching strategy is huge. Even if you've got amazing stuff, you've got an amazing rise ball, you throw super hard, you've got amazing drop ball, you still want to maximize your ability by pitching smart and having a strategy and having an understanding of what's good and what's not. I've seen lots of players over the years hurt themselves and walk more hitters and give up hits because they have poor setup strategy between the pitcher and catcher, and they fall behind more often because of it. If you're always set up on the corners, you have almost no margin for error to one half the plate. Your misses are always going to be on the white of the plate, and anytime, even if you just miss by an inch or two, that's a ball when you set up on the corner. And this is a big problem in youth baseball and softball, where it's either we set up down the middle or on the black. And there's many more graduations of the plate than that. Again, there's middle, halves, thirds, and corners. So again, this is a really important talking piece, especially for younger players. And if you watch high-level softball and baseball, especially baseball, the best pitchers in the world, guys paid $20, $30 million a year, they're setting up on the halves of the plate. So this is something that works in practice. It works at the absolute highest levels, and it's something to really consider for your team when you're, teaching them strategy and teaching them pitch calling and calling the pitches yourself. Whatever it is, it's an important thing to relay to young pitchers and catchers. All right. So hopefully today's video helped. Again, I'm Coach Dan Blewett. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, share this with a friend, check out my description links below for online resources, my courses, all that different stuff, my email newsletter, and I will see you here in the next video.